I kind of agree with B. Um, it's going to be a long, whining, progressively painful collapse. It's going to be a shrinking down of expectations, of things that we can own and have and experience, and stuff we can do. It's just going to go that way for a lot of reasons. Just put it on your radar that degrowth could be something we could actually rationally and carefully and economically do if we chose to, but we choose to focus on war and rapacious competition and crazy geopolitics and even crazier local politics. And all of this, of course, is because the career of politicians and their owners and their service providers is more important to people with power than, and also to normal people, than anything else. The priority is to enjoy your career as a big shot, maintain that comfy status as long as you can. And we're too passive to do anything, which is unfortunate. But, some people go out and do it. And the reason I wanted to talk about Ted Trainer is because so many people blog about and talk about and write about what needs to be done and how we might live and so on, indigenous this and indigenous that. But few of us actually do that because it's a big commitment. It's a huge sacrifice. You have to think, I'm going to spend my days working in the garden and doing crafts and maybe a job online, and I'm going to be busy all day long, like the farmers around my house, planting and taking care of the soil and taking crops to distribution centers and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they're going to do day in and day out. And for most people, that's pretty boring. It's an intimate life with nature, but a lot of us don't care about that. We have more exciting things to do. And I wish we could get offline and focus more on living with one another locally and creating deeper, more intimate relationships and so on. And it will happen in Holland. It will happen in France and in Canada and the United States and Australia. It will happen in the Anglosphere, in the West, in the Northern Hemisphere, out of necessity because circumstances will dictate so over time, right? It's shocking to me that, permaculture and these kinds of subjects are not more popular. But why should it shock me? Why would we pay attention to it? As long as we have money to buy things, we shouldn't worry about it, It was ironic, I heard on some news program, somebody in Britain was talking about heat, and in France as well. And what we're going to have to do is get air conditioners for people because their houses are not insulated and they're not used to this kind of heat. What they forget to think about is that it's going to become more difficult to grow the food, the local food, the grains and the maize and the grapes and all the fruit orchards and things, that they're going to go away. First because of the heat, and then maybe after that because of AMOC, but not exactly now, but it's happening now. So the last thing we should worry about is air conditioners that are going to use more energy, more oil and gas and coal and nuclear and whatever. I want to talk about a propaganda YouTube channel that I stumbled across, which is very slick. And it's very funny because the content is quite good. The scripts are good, the presenter is good, the set design is good, the props on the set are cool. It's a very slick production. And you look at it, it's like 648,000 people watched it, and it's got like 68,000 likes and, you know, a bunch of very, very bot-esque comments, effusive and shallow one-liners. I'm an idiot, so when I comment on videos, it's usually a paragraph or two, which is nobody's going to read that, so nobody does read it, but I can't help it, so I just do that. And I hate myself for it, because why am I wasting my time? But usually I do that in the morning when I just got up, so I have a few extra minutes, and I try to rip myself away from commenting on social media, but sometimes I spend too much time doing that. I'm going to go down to this place in the park and talk. I want to talk about what's sexy, what's not sexy, and why what I'm interested in will never catch on. It'll never be popular. It's a niche thing. Well, hello, folks. Out and about, beautiful weather, low 70s. A little bit overcast, but it's so nice. Not hot, not cold. I have my jacket on because in the morning it was a little bit chilly. I don't really need it, but for the sake of continuity, I'll leave it the way it is. I finished a manifesto because I wanted to update my Cospelon.eu, globehackers.com manifesto page, and I decided to do a blog post because it's easier to format and link all the things I wanted to link into that manifesto, that piece. Then I can just, you know, put a link to it on that manifesto page, rewrite it, because before I was much more kind of pro-green growth and sustainable enterprises and ethical enterprises, you know, entrepreneurial. I was entrepreneurial when I was young. If you're going to be sexy, you have to, you know, be somebody who's like the guy and selling interesting ideas and opportunities. That's entrepreneurialism. The fact is that most entrepreneurial ventures don't succeed, and so many, I think all entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs, so they try again and again. They fail, and eventually some of them succeed, and that's great. Some of them just stop being an entrepreneur because it's just not working out. So what are you going to do? I haven't given up on a couple of things at my ripe old age, and I can't really. I have to stick with it because it means a lot to me, and I enjoy it. So if you don't mind failing, you can fail upwards, whatever that means. But, you know, Elon Musk, he's sexy because he's selling Hyperloops, and getting the exposure right on this camera isn't easy. I can do it manually, but even then you have to worry about the light changing and so on. So I leave it on automatic. It's just a lot easier. But if you can orient yourself where the light is more or less not changing, it does a good job of exposure and whatnot. So yeah, Elon sells a lot of you know, Hyperloops and electric cars and starships and Starlink. Starlink is the next big sexy IPO that's coming out. I hope you buy low, sell high. Trading is difficult, and it's like a roller coaster. So you got to get in and get out. Don't be too greedy. Investing is different. That's slow. You just put some things in simple investments that are going to grow, and you just wait. You don't worry about it too much. You keep an eye on it, but you don't worry about it. It's like your house, property values, stocks and bonds and so on, that you can pretty much count on a decent return on investment over time. Anyway, this isn't about that. But, you know, these things are sexy, right? Oh, I could make a lot of money. I don't think Melania Trump's token is working out right now, but imagine the insiders at Mar-a-Lago who bought Trump and Melania tokens at the dinner party and then sold it at 20 bucks or something, and then it goes down to 8 cents. You know, they come out like bandits. It's all the plebs and proles that get screwed because they don't understand how pump and dump works. Basically, the whole economic system that we're in is pump and dump. So I wrote this manifesto basically blending degrowth concepts with indigenous kind of value systems and so on. It's not that I'm anti-religion or anything, or I'm super spiritual or whatever. I have a hard time defining those things like spirituality. Religion, not so much, but life's mysterious. The universe is a mystery, and it's always going to be a mystery. And I use the metaphor all the time about genies out of the bottle. What I mean by that is, you know, once you have a technology, you find oil and gas and you know how to use it, you're not going to just stop using it. The maximum power principle and Jevons paradox help us understand that a little bit better, but genie's out of the bottle. You're going to use it. The AI thing, the AI boom or whatever, it doesn't matter if it's a good investment, a good business model, or if it's going to change the world, or anything like that, if it's good or bad. I don't buy into the hype that AI is going to just start doing all kinds of weird things and it's going to turn against us. I think that's all part of the hype, just to keep the buzz going around AI. Yeah, stuff could happen, like if the TESC-real ambition of turning everything into a machine works, because machines are immortal, I guess. That would be bad for life, but our civilization is bad for life anyway. You know, discussions around the sixth extinction are contentious. There's different ways to look at that and what it means and so on. How long do we have? How long does it take for this particular paradigm or civilization to collapse and so on? All these things you can discuss and debate. There are good arguments on all sides, and it's quite interesting to me. But there are certain indisputable things that are illustrated by people's understanding of physics and biology that are inescapable predicaments that we're going to have to deal with one way or another. Whether we do it purposefully and thoughtfully and carefully, or we just react when the time comes and do whatever we have to do, remains to be seen. I think it's the latter. I think we're just going to enjoy being sexy until we can't be sexy anymore. So I'm getting old, I'm not sexy, so life catches up on you and you're not going to be sexy forever. I don't blame young people for buying into the whole hype. People who are into overshootology and collapsology are never going to make money or become popular, because it's a terrible subject to think about. What do you mean, I have to give up something? Are you kidding me? It's like, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous, and somebody tells you, now that you've got a yacht, you should probably give it up. You're going to say, fuck off, buddy. You're going to go on your yacht, you're going to say, that guy's a chump, he's a fool, he's an idiot, I've got a yacht. okay? So that's the way that works. And I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. It's kind of a natural thing. I also don't think that various aspects of our nature are going to just disappear. And I see it as a very flexible kind of four-dimensional graph where nature, nurture, different aspects of our biology, genetics, epigenetics, experience, all that kind of stuff, background, opportunity, stimulation, whatever. There's so many factors that go into it, kind of mold you into what you are at the moment. And based on that, you have different panoplies of options or not that you can play with or, do, take action on. And we're not in control of most of it. It kind of just happens, right? That's just the way it is. And it's complicated, it's complex. You have to look into it deeply. And, not everyone has time to do that. I understand that. Degrowth is not sexy at all. So people want green growth. And I talk a bit about Buckminster Fuller's ephemeralization idea, and I put a video in my post that was quite good that dealt with that. It just seems like science, engineering, and technology is progress, and it works. There are over 8 billion people on the planet. People are talking about 10 billion max out kind of thing. I don't know how you get those numbers, but demographics is complex as well and requires a certain understanding of statistics and whatnot. Things can shift pretty quick, birth rates and all that. Demographics, yeah, it's a thing. So who knows? But it seems to me that we're deep into this polycrisis, and the climate change thing, the global heating, AMOC and other things, blue ocean event in Antarctica and whatnot, the opening up of the Arctic because of the lack of sea ice, which is creating a new great game in the Arctic between Russia and the West, and China and the West, the BRICS and so on, is happening. People want to exploit those resources. The more we get, the more we have, the more we're going to use. That's Jevons paradox. So even if we have 4th, 5th, 6th generation nuclear power and it's all great, it's nice to have electricity, right, for our devices and to charge stuff up. But like B says, and he's just quoting other people who do the work, you need coking coal to make steel, to smelt iron, you need high heat and whatnot. You need a different form of energy source to do that. So we're hitting some limits. That's called overshoot. And so things are going to get harder to access, like copper or whatever mineral. And it's going to cost us more. And we're going to need energy to dig it out, especially if it's deeper in the ground and so on. And so most of us think it's sexy to think that science, engineering, and technology is going to solve that. Some smart guy is going to come up with something. And then he's going to take his little, nanotube polymer deep sea submarine down to the bottom of the ocean, and it's going to blow up, implode, if you remember that one. At the end of the day, I don't think we have these bailouts. I don't think Jesus is going to come and fix it. The 144,000 chosen ones or whatever, however you work that out. Apparently, 144,000 of 8 billion people are actually chosen. So the rest of us are just kind of superfluous. We're just here to consume the earth. Anyway, whatever. People talk about stuff like that. And it's sexy. It's more interesting. past life regression, um, immortality through technology, all this kind of stuff. It's more sexy, it's more fun, it's more interesting. Stories are fun, and believable stories make us feel good. And learning difficult lessons from nature or from physics or science is not easy, and it doesn't always make us feel good. It depends on your personality. For me, I find it fun. So if I think differently next year than I do this year, I'm not going to worry too much about it. If I want to be Ben Shapiro, then I memorize my PowerPoint presentation and all my little talking points, and I get my rhetoric down, and then I just repeat ad nauseum my talking points, and emphatically so, and act like I know it all and tell you I'm a genius, and then I'll be popular. I'd have millions and millions of viewers, and I'd have sponsors. My millionaire friends would be giving me money to do this, that, and the other thing. But if you're honest and willing to admit that you don't know shit, and that a lot of these things are complex, complicated, difficult to understand, and require quite a bit of work to understand. So when I subscribe to an epidemiologist's Substack, I'm looking for expertise and someone who can read those science papers and make it comprehensible to me, so I don't have to read the science papers. But of course, you should know how to do your due diligence on these things if you want to have an opinion that you are confident in and humble about. So it's not enough to be confident in an opinion. Anybody can be confident in their opinion. What you need to understand is, epistemically, is it actually correct? Is it factual? Is it real? Right? So I often, when I write, I capitalize reality, because I think reality is challenging and scary. But I think if you know where the tigers are in the woods from experience and from your elders telling you where they are, understanding their behavior and what they do and how they hunt, the reality of it all, it works better than thinking it's spirits rustling in the leaves and then getting eaten by a tiger. That's a stupid example, kind of cliche, but whatever. So I think people are going to do the sexy stuff. You know, you're going to try to be the UFC belt holder, and when you win, you're going to cross yourself and point to the sky, or you're going to say Allahu Akbar and kneel down and put your head to the mat and thank God and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. It's beautiful. And your days are going to be full of workouts and training and camaraderie and friendship and excitement and the opportunity to get a $50,000 bonus check, and it's going to be pretty nice. And if you do succeed, 1 in a million or whatever it is, you'll buy a Lamborghini, get some more tattoos, and a bigger house, and you'll buy a house for your mom, and everything's going to be pretty good. And then, you have an accident or get cancer or you die when you're 90. I mean, at the end of the day, this is it. We're so lucky just to be alive. So why wouldn't you want to do fun things? And I don't like Epstein and naughty billionaires and so on, but I can understand why wealthy people want to enjoy their wealth and have fun, and why they think they can break the rules. They think they can break the rules because they can make the rules. And this, again, is about the capital code, or how we code capital, the legal system, how we create laws, and who actually has more influence over lawmaking. Is it the king and the courtiers? Is it the noblemen? Is it the billionaires, the oligarchs, and their service providers? Or is it you? It's not me, that's for sure. I don't have any influence over the law. I just have to abide by it if I want to live here. That's the way it is. So what are you going to do, right? you're going to play the game. If you're a suit, you'll be a suit, you know? And you'll see how far you can go, and you will do whatever you have to do to make a living and survive and flourish as best you can. I guess my frustration is in all of us, people like me, who think we know something and have an opinion and want to create content about it and compete so fiercely for eyeballs and clicks and likes and you know, for people to think that what we're producing is important. And yet we're not living our principles. We're not doing what we believe people should be doing, right? If we were, we'd be doing that all day long. We wouldn't have time to make videos or write blog posts. Now, there's a place for people, bloggers and video makers and so on. And I think that's great, and there's millions of us now. Because in the olden days, I'd pay 25 cents for a newspaper, and hopefully they had some good journalists writing for that rag. Now there's a billion on BitChute and Rumble and YouTube. How do you find the ones you like? You gravitate towards your bubble, to the thing that you've been conditioned to think is cool. And then you get excited because, you know, you're the choir and the content producer is preaching to you. So you feel really good. And you walk away from that information feeling fairly virtuous, because there's a lot of people out there that believe what I believe. So I said earlier in the video that I find these propaganda sites where they have hundreds of thousands of views and 100,000 likes and stuff. And they're obviously propaganda. They're slick, they're overproduced, and they have an ideological bias that's very obvious. And I think a lot of people get taken in by that because, oh, this is really popular, this must be great, this is slick. And so they watch it. And of course, if it confirms their biases, they're really happy about it. And you step away knowing that you're pretty damn right, you know? And that's good feeling. But it may not be true. You may have been taken in by a load of shite, a load of propaganda. I'm not here to judge people. It's difficult to vet all the information that comes at us. And we're also data producers. Like Eric Lee was talking about gaming the large language models with using VPNs and translating apps and pretending like you're a member of the CCP in China when you chat with the LLM. You can do that, but it really doesn't matter because where does the data come from? Most of the data is generated by us in the West, the global North, and China, and places like that. If I wanted to have an unbiased opinion of a Nigerian LLM, if there is a proprietary one somewhere in Nigeria, I could just go in there and say, in my chat, I want information from Nigerian sources, period. You know, and then of course it would have to be in English because I speak English, read English. I don't read, you know, traditional Chinese or whatever. So it would crawl through all the English language sources, or maybe some of the LLMs can translate all the Chinese and then spit it back at you in English or whatever. It's the same difference, right? You don't have to game it. Like the LLM I use, because it's my office LLM, which is connected to the Google services. It's not ideal, but I'm in that ecosystem, so whatever. I use those tools. It's frustrating sometimes. But Gemini and Google knows me better than I know myself, so it gets my syntax, it gets my tone of voice, it understands what I'm interested in. It's scary. And all the ads coming at me from Google, all I have to do is think something. It's like it's psychic, and I start getting ads pushed at me. So it's really, really freaking scary on that level. It's kind of scary. But that's the power of it, right? And if I want to game it, all I have to do is interact with the LLM in a thoughtful way so that I'm going in the direction that I want to go. And if I want to, for example, research something that I don't believe in, that I'm not biased about, I have to be clear about going down that rabbit hole and making sure that the algorithms understand what I'm looking for. And of course, if you want to be anonymous and all that, go off grid and nobody follows you and you don't have a smartphone and you don't belong to any social media platforms, good for you. I mean, that's great. If you want to live off grid, I think that's great. But I can't, it's too late for me. And it's way too late for most young people who are growing up on this. It's mother's milk to them. And they won't be able to have a job if they don't know how to use the latest integrated application for using disparate numbers of different AI applications and all these algorithms. And you have to figure out how to use all of them to be productive. So that what? You can produce more information? Are we going to produce more what? Electric cars? What are we going to do? More fast fashion? More cereal boxes? What are we going to do? It's just like there is a limit to all this. And at some point, all the digitally produced, AI produced movies in the world aren't going to be enough, and they're going to be shallow and boring. We're consuming what? Another Shakespearean drama, only in a new voice, in a new style, with new music and whatnot, all created by the algorithms. Wow, all I have to do all day is just consume content. That's my job. So I think if you degrowth and go back to the community and intimate relationships with nature and with people, it's better. You have a better experience. It's a better life. But that's my opinion. That's how I feel very strongly about that. And I think all the rest of it's going to peter out. So even though it's exciting now and it's very sexy, at some point it's going to be unplugged. I'm interested at all, I'm interested in the next thing, the next quarter, the quarterly results or whatever. And looking back, why? Why bother? What can you really learn from history? It's a social construct. Whatever. It's like his story, patriarchal story about I'm not going to look, whatever. But there are ways to delve into it if you're interested. I think it fleshes out the universe for me, makes the whole world more interesting, to have a deep time perspective, to wonder what it was like to be a Neanderthal, something like that. I'm so curious about what it was like to be a human 75,000 years ago or something, Homo sapien. How did we become the way we are? How did we evolve, And it's just how miraculous the whole thing is that we're here anyway, that we're the last hominid standing, and we're buying, Starship shares or Starlink. I think Starlink's just near Earth orbit junk. It's an accident waiting to happen, but everybody's got to be connected. We need our high-speed connections. How am I going to sail to the Maldives, or how am I going to sail to, Morocco if I don't have my, connectivity for my navigation and all that stuff, my Garmin, whatever. How am I going to walk around Lisbon without Google Maps, But at some point, who knows? I mean, are we going to have magical, invisible alien technology that keeps us connected? We don't have to worry about space junk having some, cataclysmic uh, domino explosions of satellites, blah, blah, blah. I just like, and then it's all gone, and we're like, how do my phone, it's like, I wish I had a dial-up phone now. I really do. The phones are all down. I don't know what's going on. When we had that little power outage for, I forget what it was, half a day or a day, whatever it was. It's interesting. You're just offline all of a sudden. It's all over, you know, and you realize how dependent you are. I don't finger my phone that often during the day. I haven't for a long time. Just because I just don't. It's stressful to me. Like WhatsApp groups where everybody's posting and going through and trying to get the thread of the conversation. It just freaks me out. So I shut it off and I look at it when I want to, right? And scroll it, and then I say, okay, cool. And then I just leave it alone and go about my business. Anyway, I've probably gone on too long. Sorry about that. So, yeah, overshootology and collapsology, degrowth, it's not sexy. Indigenous lifestyles, not sexy. There's a reason why the indigenous people of the United States of America, of that region, and long ago, before it was the USA, were genocided, were wiped out, practically speaking. They didn't have the values that we have in Europe. We have our values. Our values are so important and so good that we spend a lot of time over the last, thousands of years just killing each other. We forget World War I, World War II. We forget the Napoleonic Wars. We forget the 30 Years' War. We don't know anything about any of that. We forgot Vietnam already. We forgot Iraq. We forgot Afghanistan. It's well in the rearview mirror now. So, it's got to be Iran next, and Russia and China, and it's just like, what's the next thing? All right, let's go. What technologies, what businesses can we develop? Who do we sell arms to? And there'll be another movie about it, another book about it, and it'll just be one product after another. I call Donald Trump a product. He's just a product, and he's useful to people who want to use a politician for this, that, or the other thing. He's not a leader. He really doesn't have that much agency. You think he does because he's rich and famous and he's the president, but none of them do. And Obama does something for 8 years, and then that's all undone, right? Bush Jr. does something for 8 years, and then that's all undone. Why don't people see that? I don't get it. They really think that the next election cycle, things are going to be different. So I'm asking people to think about a more radical change in values, and that's just not sexy. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Thanks a lot. If you watch this, I appreciate it. Click like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Talk to me if you want. Booleum T, out.